What time it is?
That was the sound of us watching this game on playback tonight. Hey, Boston crowd, are we going to hear a little bit of that?
I mean, you did until you didn't.
My goodness, what a game we just witnessed in Boston. The Celtics had the Warriors on the ropes. It was 94-90 with 5-ish minutes to go. I know it's a close game, but then the Boston Celtics offense went to shit. And Steph Curry said, get on my back. I'm carrying us back to San Francisco tied at 2 apiece. It's a Friday night. Deuce and Mo live for a bonus show. How you doing, Mo?
Wow.
I'm sorry. I love greatness. I appreciate greatness. So when Steph Curry is putting on a show, I don't care if you hate the Warriors. I don't care if you don't like Steph. If you want to hate on him because you're a LeBron guy, I appreciate greatness. And what we witnessed tonight was something special. 40-plus points. He also had 10 rebounds. Let's talk about it.
Oh, is it? Oh. Hi, I'm here too. I was asked how I was doing, and then I'm getting interrupted by soundbites and Deuce. God damn it, Deuce. Go.
This has been a fun finals.
It has.
It's
been really fun. And it's like, I just feel like we deserve this so much. We deserve to watch fun basketball. This is so fun. I honestly, I wanted to see the Celtics pull out the win tonight, but it's so great seeing things happen the way that they happen late in this game. And I was telling Deuce early on, it's just so great too when injury isn't what is affecting the game on
like
either side.
If Steph was limping around tonight and they lost,
or Rob Williams couldn't play as much because, hey, it's not enough rest or whatever. It's just, it's great to see.
Colin says that's a sick hat, Deuce. Thank you. AKA Landino asks, are the Kings trading up to 2? Okay, well, since you asked, do not tell anybody. This is between just us on the chat. They're trading up for 2.
Wow.
No, I don't know if they're trading up for 2. I don't know. We will talk next week more about the draft. Me and Morgan spent actually on Twitch earlier today with our Twitch peeps. Our guy Tyler was there. I think Nick was there for a bit. We had some people there. We watched entire Keegan Murray game. Keegan Murray. It was Iowa against Indiana. And so we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it.
All right, let's get started. Special edition of the Deuce and Mo podcast. It's coming down in 3, in 2. Wait a second. It's not coming down. If you're here and watching us live, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. If you're here watching us on a Friday night, you're one of the loyal Deuce bags and morons, hit the thumbs up button. Thanks for the sub, Charles. Now we could start. Deuce and Mo coming down. 3, 2, 1. Hit my music.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.
Welcome into a special edition of the Deuce and Mo podcast. Recording this on a Friday night. after another fun game of the NBA Finals that saw the Warriors coming back and tying this series at 2 apiece with a 107-97 win against the Boston Celtics. I'm Deuce Mason. That's Morgan Reagan. Morgan, sometimes you're left speechless. It's one of those things. It's hard to describe what we see with Steph Curry. We've seen it for so many years, but tonight was legendary.
It's so special. It's so special. And whether it leaves you speechless or you try to explain it, and even when you do break it down, it's not like it's normal what he does at times. He's just trying to pave the way to normalize it, right? And to show basketball players what greatness really can be. Oh, there's a hand in my face. There's literally a finger touching the ball as I shoot it. I know exactly how much strength, how much space, how much anything I need to shoot the ball, to get by you. I'm such a threat on so many different levels.
And this wasn't like, hey, Steph Curry had a whole bunch of open looks tonight. I mean, how many times did it look like maybe he got fouled or just great contest? This was a guy making incredible shots tonight.
He had to work for it.
With 43 points in 41 minutes, 14 of 26 shooting. But for me, one of my favorite stats of his and the Warriors tonight is rebounding, because they got destroyed in the glass last game. We're sitting here watching what Boston was able to do, just dominating in second chance points, offensive rebounds, overall rebounding, everything. And tonight, it was flipped a bit, especially with the overall numbers when you look at the fact that it was 55-42. 55-42 in favor of the Golden State Warriors. They had 16 offensive rebounds in this game to 11. The second chance points were 19-12 in favor of Golden State. The Warriors did an amazing job. I mean, with the rebounding, and they had to grind this one out, but they got it.
Yeah, and you look at a lot of those stats, and they do tell so much of the story, because the way that the Celtics have played, especially in those wins, they're winning those offensive rebounds. They're getting those second chance opportunity points. And the Warriors, what they were able to accomplish throughout this entire game at such a high level was absolutely incredible, that even other teammates were stepping up in those moments that were like, man, it can't just be Steph tonight. And then it ended up being Steph, throughout. But there's so many guys contributing. And then there's even one guy who looked shook out there, wasn't playing his game. Adjustments were made by Steve Kerr and the coaching staff, and it really helped the Warriors get this win.
And I'm assuming you're talking about Draymond Green, who got off to another rough start. And Kerr did a few things tonight. One, he changed the starting lineup going into the game. He decided to have Looney come off the bench. They start Otto Porter. He ends up only playing 14 minutes tonight. So Looney comes off the bench. But Draymond just got off to another weird start. It just looked like he was rattled a bit. He just looks like stuff has been bugging him.
Wasn't doing the things that he's usually doing.
Right. And a couple of the things that I thought he was messing up big time was, look, you can't just be hanging around the three-point line. He took 2 threes tonight. He ends up 1 of 7. But you need to crash. You need to drive. You need to make plays without the ball. He was settling far too much, and you make life challenging because they're not guarding you on the perimeter,
right.
Draymond. But to your point, what Steve Kerr did was he made a change where he's going like offense, defense. And he, in critical moments in the fourth quarter, decided to take Draymond Green out of the game.
Yep.
That was pretty shocking.
It was the way that he was rotating him in and out, the way that he was leaving him on the bench and understanding what his team needed, but also understanding too the importance of having Draymond out there. And then down the stretch, of course it was at the end of the game, but it doesn't matter because that's when it actually, they needed everything to happen most for them. And Draymond was starting to crash the board. He was, trailing his guy and actually going in for a rebound, or he was making the extra pass and understanding like, yeah, this is why I'm usually out here, to just be that guy to still square up, look at the basket. You got to act like a little bit of a threat, but then make a play happen. His playmaking ability toward the end was just good enough for his team to get this win.
Couple of nice assists. He had a nice rebound that created a second chance opportunity. It's a tough call for Steve Kerr to make. He did it, and it ended up working out. You never know how a guy's going to respond. Draymond responded fine with that. But Steph obviously is the story in this one. I don't know how you can even describe some of the shots he made tonight.
You can't.
I just don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
And I think part of it just goes to the amount of work he puts in the offseason. He clearly is stronger than he has been. I feel like each year he gets stronger and stronger. And you just see he looks strong. He's able to take some contact. And this Celtics defense has been really focused on him. Why? Well, number one, he's Steph Curry. But the other guys haven't stepped up. So they've been keying in on him big time, trying to make life tough. And it didn't really matter tonight.
It didn't. And there were times when he was missing a lot of those shots, especially in the beginning of the game, still taking them. But however he started from 3-point land, was average. Other guys were stepping up. But this is what Curry started to do. He goes, okay, I'm going to start taking it to the rack. Not only was he going down the middle, going down the right lane, going wherever he wanted into the paint, he was using his strength, like you were just saying, Deuce, and bodying up guys, accepting that contact and shooting through it. There was just so many incredible plays that he made tonight to score for his team when they needed it most. And it was just a fantastic performance from him all the way around. Well, what?
43 and 10. And this is where he looked like he was limping out of the locker room last game. I had heard reports this morning at shoot around from John Dickinson, who works at 95.7 The Game in the Bay Area, and he's like, Steph looks great. It doesn't look like he's limping at all. He said as much, like, I feel great going into tonight. You never really know how it's going to respond, though. It's one thing how it looks in shoot around. How is it going to look in game shape? How is it going to look when you're moving, you're cutting, you're planting the foot? How are you when you're being tested defensively?
Yeah.
What's it going to look like? And it didn't look like it bugged him at all.
He also wasn't as much of a liability on the defensive end as he was in that last game when they kept just hunting him down, attacking him, going at him, Tatum to the rack, everyone else, just trying to have him commit fouls. And that wasn't happening in this game. And I think defensively, the Warriors did a much better job not only picking up the physicality, but really staying with their guys, staying true to their defense and not just depending on physical play either.
The other guy that's got to be talked about tonight for Golden State is Andrew Wiggins, who I think has been probably one of their better players in the playoffs. He's never perfect, and I think you would love to get more from him offensively, but he's doing a great job defensively. He, as I've mentioned on the podcast before, what he's done in this series to try to make life more challenging for Jason Tatum, what he did against Luka in the Mavs series. Tonight, 17 points, but he had 16 rebounds. And God, I just felt like he had some timely offensive rebounds, some big second chance buckets.
Yeah.
Fantastic for them tonight.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about those rebounds you already talked about with Steph, and you're seeing these guys hunt those down. But with someone like Andrew Wiggins, getting them those second chance opportunities, but then also being that scoring threat, and then also being the defensive player that they needed him to be once again on the other end of the floor. You just had guys on the Warriors step up, right? Like Andrew Wiggins was needed tonight, and he stepped up his game, especially when guys like Draymond Green couldn't get things going.
Well, and especially when, let's be honest about it, those guys, the bigs for the Warriors, whether it's Wiggins in the front court or Looney, who didn't play a lot last game, or Draymond Green, they did a terrible job rebounding last game. They did awful. Wiggins gets you 16. He had 3 offensive rebounds. Draymond got you 5 offensive rebounds tonight. Those are just so deflating for a team. And for them to step up in a big way and play that well after what happened in Game 3, it was a great response by the Warriors. And We haven't got to the Celtics yet, and we're going to get to them because I think there's a lot to talk about with Boston. But I thought Wiggins had some great moments tonight. Klay hit a big shot. Klay had some big shots tonight. Wasn't perfect, but hit some big threes. I thought GP2, I know he played 10 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
I felt like he had an impactful 10 minutes.
A spark. And it was a spark because, you guys, it was when the Celtics had things going for them, right? It was when the Celtics were making their shots and making things look easy, making an easy pass, finding an open guy for three. GP2, when he came in and he was on Jason Tatum, he was playing like Draymond was in that game 1 or game 2 or whatever it was, when he was just playing physical, being like, call the foul on me. I dare you. That's what Peyton was doing. And good for him. They weren't calling it. They're allowing him to be physical. Whether he was getting into their head or not, he was just a spark.
So let's talk about the Celtics now.
Yeah, I'm ready.
They were up 94-90. I'm not trying to act like that's a big lead at all. It's a 4-point game. That was like 5:18 to go. But the point is, it was 94-90. They scored 3 points the rest of the way. You do give credit to the Warriors a bit, but I also thought Boston settled a lot. I thought it would, and I think Ime Udoka is going to be like, well, we got some good looks. And there were some good looks. I'm not trying to deny it. I felt like they settled for too many threes tonight. I thought Marcus Smart settled for too many threes tonight. And I know he's had moments where he hits them, but I think in this situation, you're on your home floor with the lead in the fourth quarter. You win this game tonight, the series is probably over. It's 3-1. Now, no, I mean, Morgan, you don't see 3-1.
Yes, it puts them in a very tough position. Yes.
Now, you lose that game at home. I mean, I'm not saying it's a death sentence by any means, but that's got to be so deflating. I don't think Tatum played well tonight. You know, Tatum, I don't know if it's exhaustion. I don't know if he was tired. He had some really bad turnovers in this game, especially in the first half. At the end, I felt like exhaustion set in, and maybe that's part of it. You know, this is the time of year where you're playing so many minutes late in the game. You don't have the couple of days rest off. He didn't shoot the ball well tonight, and I didn't think he had a good game for him.
You know where the exhaustion was coming from was from guys like GP2 tiring him out, right? Like just coming in, tiring him out, not letting him get the ball, having to work a little bit harder. That Warriors defense really made life harder for these guys driving it in. And there was not a lot of open space in that paint. And then the Celtics started getting stagnant on the offensive end, right? They were just settling for those threes. Like guys were not moving in and out. It was a lot of ISO, Jaylen Brown, like go to work, get into the key and see what you can do. And then there's no other movement. And I don't know why they started to play that way. I want to give a little bit of credit to the Warriors defense for obviously making the adjustments that they made and made their life a little bit harder.
And part of it is forcing one miss and getting a rebound. Like
boom.
That's last game. How many times did the Celtics have a missed shot, get a second chance point, and then all of a sudden it's a three or a Al Horford drive? Or there are so many backbreaking moments for them in that last game. And you're right. I mean, Tatum in the second half goes 2 for 9 and has 7 points. So, I mean, that's obviously not going to get it done at all. And in the game, he had 6 turnovers. So he did have the assist at 6, and those assist numbers have been better for him. He's done such a great job passing, but he had some sloppy sequences in this game.
Yeah, and we talked about this in the games before. When you're playing the Warriors, and it feels like it's always been this way, no matter, you know, what type of postseason team that they have, you have to play close to a perfect game. And that's not making the mistakes that were made tonight, not shooting yourself in your foot like they did tonight. Allow the Warriors to cause the turnovers. Don't play sloppy. Take care of the basketball. And those moments were happening far too many times tonight in a game 4 of the NBA Finals. And when your leader is doing that, it's a little bit deflating. But on top of that, your leader also wasn't being a huge threat on the offensive end. In the beginning, yeah, making some of those shots, but then toward the end, settling for those threes, not taking it in and finding the open guy, but also the open guy was not relocating and finding the open spot.
All right, we appreciate everyone watching us live, and we got to give you guys some love. Let's give some love to My Sticks, who just resubbed on Prime. Give him a
Thank
hell yeah, along with Poo Poo in My Pants, who has resubscribed 4 months.
Give me a hell yeah.
Poo poo in my pants.
Shout to Mooch Mafioso, who followed, and Sarcasm City, who rated us with a party of 47.
Let's go.
Let's get to the comments, please. Poo Poo in My Pants says, I'm in love with Steph.
Yeah. Isn't everybody after tonight? It's hard not to love him. I was telling Deuce during this game, I'm like, aren't you so glad the Kings will never be like in a championship game with Steph Curry playing? Like, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Yeah.
Mooch Mafioso says, Andrew Wiggins was the second best player on the court, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I it's hard to argue against that. I mean, I think he's been one of their better players this year. I mean, in this series, just for what he's been able to do defensively. He's made life challenging on some of the premier players that they've had to go up against. I mean, guarding Luka and Jason Tatum's not easy, and those guys are going to still get theirs, and you still have to mentally stay engaged. You can't get shook when a guy makes a shot on you because it's Jason freaking Tatum or it's Luka. You got to keep engaged and be in it. He has done that in the playoffs. Joel for Jesus says Gary Payton and Andrew Wiggins are the heartbeat behind the scenes right now. Yeah, and I still make the case GP2 should be playing more minutes. He played like 11 last game, played 10 tonight. I know he's coming off the injury, and offensively he's not a great threat with his shooting.
Yeah.
But you know he's capable of a backdoor cut.
Mm-hmm.
He can hit an occasional three. You know he can attack. But it's that energy that he brings defensively that I think
it's so
sparks.
feisty. It's so feisty. And there's not a lot of players that can do that. And if you have some on your team that can, you got to play them. And especially in games like this when you need it most, when there seemed like so many times it was out of reach for the Warriors. All those turnovers in the beginning of the fourth for the Warriors, you had Steph Curry throwing it to a corner, Andrew Wiggins throwing
Curry
it
had
backcourt.
that behind his like shoulder pass. You're going, what are you doing? The first 4 minutes of this fourth quarter, they had 4 turnovers. Actually, the fourth quarter is really interesting because I'm going, oh, is he going to rest Steph Curry? He decides to rest Steph for the first like couple minutes of the fourth quarter. Klay hits a 3, and then he pulls Klay out for Steph, and Klay's pissed.
Yep.
Klay comes back in like 45 seconds later, and he had Bielitsa out there. There were some shaky decisions, I thought, early in the fourth quarter.
I agree.
By Steve Kerr, but they were able to figure it out, and I think down the stretch he did push the right buttons.
And hey, Klay hit some big shots down the stretch as well. I mean, he had some big threes throughout the game, and it's fun to see for him because then there's those other threes that he misses when they do need it most, like for a swing play in the third or wherever else it was. And you're like, man, old Klay would make that shot. And it's nice to see that he can still hit some of those big shots and was there for his team, again, when they needed it down the stretch.
How about this stat, Morgan?
What?
Steph Curry tonight, 43 points on 14 of 26. Brown and Tatum combined 44 points. 17 of 42.
Yeah. And again, that wasn't them just missing shots. It was the Warriors defense and the pressure that they were putting on tonight. I was really impressed with the intensity from the Warriors defense tonight and how much more just how different it looked tonight. Are we giving credit to Mike Brown? Is that what we do in Sacramento now? Like, is that where we're at?
Well, Brown was still 9 of 19. He had 21 points.
No, I said Mike
rebounds.
Brown.
I know, but I'm just talking about those guys. So
Oh.
Jalen had 21 on 9 of 19, 2 of 6 from 3, 8 of 23 for Jason Tatum.
Which Jalen Brown, as soon as someone else was saying in the chat, you know, Andrew Wiggins was the second best guy out there on the floor tonight. He obviously was tonight, but with the way that Jalen Brown plays sometimes in some of those big plays that 3-and-1, that shot he had on Draymond, that mid-range shot he had on Draymond where he's getting pushed, that layup he made, and then Marcus Smart gets fouled from behind. So then it's technically an and one. Marcus Smart goes to the free throw line. Jaylen Brown has been so consistent for the most part. And I just wish Jason Tatum, it's hard. It's hard. He has a lot of attention on him, but I wish Jason Tatum could be consistently fighting through those times. Again, very hard. He's still playing well, but there's just like, he needs to be even bigger for his team.
Another guy that I thought responded well tonight for Golden State was Klay. I thought there have been moments in this series where defensively it's like, oof, this guy looks like he hasn't played in a couple of years. And maybe he's lost a little bit. Tonight, I thought he did a nice job defensively.
Yeah.
He really did. He had moments staying in front of Jaylen Brown, cutting him off from penetration, keeping him outside the paint, using his size and his strength because he does have a bigger body. He did a good job tonight.
Defensively, the Warriors made everyone else's life easier on their team, right? Like, I think Klay had a better individual night because he knew what help and trusted what was going on behind him. There was just some adjustments that they made defensively that allowed guys to really pack the paint and understand, move side to side. You're going to have help here waiting for you.
You mentioned the paint. Warriors outscored them 38-32 in the paint. And then Kevon Looney, who did not play a ton last game, comes off the bench tonight, 6 points, but he had 11 rebounds in the game. And I thought he had some significant stretches of this game where he was impactful too. So it was impressive. And I don't know how much you put stock into like, hey, these guys have been here before. And it's
track record.
It's hard to win championships in this league.
Yeah.
Like, they've been there. All right. This is their 6th finals appearance in 8 seasons. And when Klay plays the way he did tonight and Steph comes through, you wonder how much of it is just like, we know what it takes. We know the extra gear that we have to be in tonight. We know the engagement. Like, we're on the ropes in this series. We're 2-1 in a game 4 on the road in, let's be honest, a hostile environment. I mean, that crowd was insane again tonight. You know, they had the fuck you Draymond chants again.
They were louder than hell.
It was going crazy.
Yeah.
And they had to fight through it. I mean, you had that one stretch where Steph hit a couple of big threes, and it's rare when you see Steph like completely fired up, especially on the road.
Yelling.
I mean, he was pissed because he had just got fouled. He hit a 3. He's yelling.
Pissed off, hyped. Every emotion was just caught up in that moment. And it was, I love it. I love seeing that fiery Steph, like just pure passion. And when you have those special nights from him, as someone who just roots for basketball and not for either one of these teams, I just hope that they win in nights like that, right? Like you want to be able to talk about it. And that is part of the reason why this team won, because otherwise the narrative would have been what Steve Kerr did, his rotations, why the hell, Draymond, that old shit. You know, it would have been that again. And so it's so nice to see that this magical game happened for Steph Curry and that it really did lead this entire team to a victory.
I put a poll question in the YouTube chat, and I said, series tied at 2-2. Who wins? 72% of the people who voted picked the Warriors tonight, which is completely flip-flop from after last game in game number 3. Does tonight change how you feel about the Celtics and their chances in the series?
For me, I think I have felt the same way throughout this entire series. I sit on the fence and I don't say which team is going to win, but I just go off of my educated guesses of, you know, everything that we've seen so far.
Right.
And with the Warriors, it's mostly track record. Obviously different teams, but I'm going track record with the main pieces, Steve Kerr, how they keep evolving and forming things together to make some special basketball out there. With the Celtics, the way that they've been playing this postseason, how can you doubt them?
They've responded after shit like this.
Yes. And that's why I don't feel any different. I don't feel like they're going to be deflated after this game. I am just a little worried about the Warriors going back home after a win like this.
I think if you're Boston tonight, you might be looking at it like, look, Tatum didn't have a good night. It took an iconic, legendary, out-of-this-world performance from Steph, hitting shots with defenders draped on him, hitting shots when they fouled him and they didn't call it. And we made mistakes. To me, I look at Boston. I felt like so many chances in that first half. It seemed like they maybe had some chances to really separate themselves in this game. And they have a lot of self-inflicted wounds.
All night.
The Warriors hung around enough, and it gives them confidence. And they came out in the second half more engaged. They were ready to go. I felt like the physicality was ratcheted up by them. They felt like, to me, they felt like a desperate team, Golden State did. And so if you're Boston, maybe that's what you're looking at. It's like, hey, we didn't play our game down the stretch in the first few minutes. It took a legendary performance from Steph.
Yep.
And we lost by 10.
The Celtics always seem like they have to be playing at a perfect game, and even when they are deuce, it still ends up being, it's just a 6-point game right now. You know, you always look at the score, and it feels like the Celtics have everything going for them, but it's still only a 6-point game, or it's a 7-point game.
It's these It's the turnovers that are just killing. That's the one thing with Golden State. When Golden State gets out in transition, it's a mess. I mean, transition in general is just a mess in the NBA because you get all these cross matches. But with Golden State, it's like, especially if you got Steph out there and Klay, and it's just...
Dude, Klay with that transition three, like that's his best three right now.
Bread and butter right there. After the game, Marcus Smart said, quote, "We have to move. We cannot get stagnant, stand still, and let them load up on us." And
what'd I say?
There was too much of that going on for them late in the game. And Boston has had a track record. You talk about track record. They've had a track record this season of doing that stuff in games where they just fall apart in close games. And closing is tough. And it's tough in the NBA Finals. But this is a game that they probably should have had tonight.
They don't end up trusting themselves as an entire squad. And they go, all right, Jason Tatum, take over. All right, Jaylen Brown, do your thing because you guys are leaders. You're our heroes. Like, you need to do it. The games that they win are the ones that everyone is trusting each other. And I'm not acting like Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown are the ones not passing the ball. It's the teammates staying stagnant and being like, okay, go. Do your thing. And we'll just be here. Everyone's got to do their thing. That's what's got them to the NBA Finals.
Yeah. I mean, this is just going to be a fun series, I think, because we've seen the Warriors. I mean, after Game 3, I'm looking at the Warriors, and even times tonight, I'm thinking they look older. They're not as athletic. They're not as long. Yeah. I think Boston's better. And then you see how they close tonight, and you're going, well, the experience factor comes into play. Closing games, sometimes teams have to learn how to close out games, and it's tough to learn it on this stage, with this amount of pressure. Steph Curry handled the pressure tonight. He is banged up. He's hitting tough shots. I just think as a basketball fan, just appreciate these moments. Appreciate these moments when 100%. You see the great ones do it when the lights are brightest.
You got to see it live.
Backs up against the wall.
Uh-huh.
That shit was crazy.
Don't forget it. Don't forget it because it's special.
A couple other things to hit on tonight. With this game, Boston ends up only shooting 40% in the game. They were 15 of 38 from three. Golden State was 44%, 15 of 43 from downtown. So then we get ready for a couple of days off and Game 5, San Francisco on Monday.
Sorry, in Monday.
Can't wait.
I'm stoked. We'll be doing another watch party. We'll be doing lots of different things. I was excited for this game. It lived up to exactly what I wanted. And now Monday, shit's going to be wild.
They're now think about the atmosphere that the Celtics are coming into. Flying back across the country with the series tied up at 2 apiece. So, what are you going to get from Jason Tatum? Is he going to have a bounce back? This is the adjustments. This is what makes it fun. And so I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Me too.
Well, that'll do it for us tonight. Thanks so much for hanging out with us for a little bit with our quick thoughts on this game for a little bonus pod. We love you guys so much, but we gots to go.
We'll see you all Monday. We'll see you Monday. Have a great rest of your Friday night. Bye.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce